All right, everyone, good evening. Good evening. We'll give you that a little bit better. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good to see all of you. Welcome to the United Seat Town Hall here in Kannapolis in Cabarrus County. We did not have a hurricane this time. Round of applause for that. Our friend Tim back there last time got stuck. Where did you get stuck? Somewhere halfway here. I shouldn't laugh, but I'm very glad that didn't happen this time. But we want to thank y'all for coming here tonight, for rescheduling with us to about a month and a half later. And I'm going to turn it over now to our friend Jamin to introduce us and welcome us to the space tonight. Give a round of applause.
Thank you, Kannapolis 11 Peace family. My name is Jamin Brian Heron. I'm a Cabarrus County resident and native, community organizer and founder of Community Civil Activists. For those who don't know, we are a grassroots, nonpartisan organization here in Concord. We are focused on justice, equity, and awareness, and connecting community to our civil rights and liberties and uplifting activism. And so that's why it's very important that you all are here tonight to demonstrate your activism, have your voice be heard, and mainly to hold our elected officials accountable. That's what we're all about. All right, and so many of you know in this year we faced a lot of harmful bills, anti-protest bills, anti-reproductive bills that harm our women and birthing people, and anti-bills against our queer and trans youth. Solidarity and make sure that we combat these harmful actions and legislative laws that are going up against us. And so you all who know me know that I'm a protester, so I wouldn't be who I am unless we made some noise. There's a call and response to the energy flowing in here. All right, and so we all know we're here for the North Carolina Unite NC Town Hall. So our chant is going to be Unite NC, and then Unite Cabarrus, where we are. Unite Cabarrus, all right? Yeah. Say a lot of energy, okay? All right, Unite NC. Unite NC. Unite NC. Unite NC. Unite Cabarrus. Unite Cabarrus. Unite Cabarrus. Unite Cabarrus. Unite NC. Unite NC. Unite NC. Unite NC. Unite Cabarrus. Unite Cabarrus. Unite Cabarrus. Unite Cabarrus. There we go.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much. Y'all can hear me okay? Yes. Beautiful. All right, we're going to go ahead to Raleigh now. I think if everyone wants to start walking on the road, I'm ready to do so. I want to thank you so much for welcoming us into the space, and it's so good to see all of you. We are here tonight for pretty much one purpose, which is to talk about what is going on at the state legislature in Raleigh. And so I want to just start off by, before we get into that, I see a lot of folks in this room who maybe know each other, maybe don't know each other. So I'm going to ask you to indulge me for a moment. Just like if we were in church, I want you to take a look around, see if there's somebody near you that you do not already know. I want to take a moment and introduce yourself to those folks. Because that's part of what we're doing in United Cabarrus, United NC. So introduce yourself to someone you don't know. Thank you, my friends, for indulging me. It's always good to get to know each other in the room. Now I'm just going to jump in and know you all a little bit better. Bring it back here. You've got the time. Bring it back. That's the problem. Everyone wants to just keep talking to each other. That's right. All right, my friend, bring it back. Thank you all for doing that. Now we're going to get to know you a little bit better. Like I said, we are here tonight because about 280 or what was it, 6 decades ago, Sailor? Sorry, no, 280 days ago, the legislature convened. It has not been 6 decades, but it's felt like that. And they have proposed, passed, and implemented a number of policies and continue to do so that are going to dramatically impact our lives over the course of the next year and a half and beyond. So I want you to take a moment and shout out, what are some of the issues that you've heard talked about in Raleigh this year? Say that again. Transgender health. Parents' Bill of Rights. Gun control.
Board of Elections.
Board of Elections, that's right. Housing, that's a big one.
Reproductive rights.
Reproductive rights is another big one.
Defunding schools and
That's right, defunding schools, taking money to charter schools, that's right. Immigration. Oh, sure. You must have paid attention to the legislature today because we got some news on that front, to the bank laws. But that's exactly right. All of those issues and more have been on the legislature's agenda. We're going to talk about a few more of those in a moment. But now that we know some of the issues that y'all have been paying attention to, I want to get a sense of maybe kind of how you feel about those issues. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and I want you to raise your hand if you agree with the statement, okay? So first and foremost, I want you to raise your hand if you agree or if you believe that the tax dollars you spend should be invested back in your community. Okay. Look at that. Every single person. I want you to raise your hand if you believe that you should have clean air to breathe and safe water to drink. Okay. All right. Nobody said no yet. We'll see if we keep going. Raise your hand if you want good public schools for your kids. Okay. Every single person is right. For all kids. Yeah, not just your kids, all kids, that's right. I want you to raise your hand if you want a government that gives a damn about you and represents you, you feel like represents you. Okay, so that's right. So maybe y'all are catching on to the bit here a little bit, but I just want you to know this is the 16th town hall that we've held all across the state since July 20th. We started not far from here. We started not too far from here in Mint Hill. We've been everywhere from Silva to Wagram and Rocky Mount and Wilmington in the east. And when I ask those questions to the audience, every single person raises their hand, unequivocally every single time. So what that tells me, and we've had crowds of Democrats, Republicans, unaffiliated, everybody in between. So what that tells me is that there is a lot more that we agree on than we disagree on. And that for those of us who maybe aren't in elected office or aren't lobbyists or whatever in Raleigh, then we agree on those basic things. So if we agree on those things, we agree on more than we disagree on. Has that been the agenda we've seen out of Raleigh? When you all name those issues, have those issues been the kinds of things you would like to see passed? No, okay, that's right. I was like, I can't quite hear you. I can see you mouthing it, but I can't quite hear you. So, what have been some of those things that we've talked about? Well, we talked about a number of bills that have come through the legislature. We'll start first with elections and redistricting. How many of y'all have heard about a bill called Senate Bill 747? All right, a good number of y'all. For those who are not familiar, Senate Bill 747 is one of the bills that will directly impact all of us. It will change how we vote in elections to come here in 2024. The biggest change being how it impacts our mail-in ballots. How many of y'all have voted by mail or know someone who's voted by mail? Okay, so a good number of us. Now, part of what this bill is doing under the guise or the term election integrity is reducing the period of which your mail-in ballots can be accepted. Previously, under North Carolina law, you could, as long as it was postmarked by election day, you could send your mail ballot in, and if it got there before 3 days, I believe, your ballot would be counted and would be accepted. And that is in part because we know that the Postal Service may be one of the least reliable entities in the United States government, through no fault of its own. That has changed. The 3-day grace period, and there's more about this if you're curious in the booklets that are on your chairs, will now be gone in 2024. If this policy had been in place in the 2020 election, about 12,000 legitimately cast ballots would have been discounted. And that is in a state where the race for Chief Justice of the state Supreme Court is decided by how many votes? 401 votes. So that is a major change to our elections. Now, the gentleman over here mentioned board of elections. There's another bill that is currently pending in the State House called Senate Bill 749. How many of you have heard this bill? A lot. This is a very, very well-informed crowd. For those who are not familiar, Senate Bill 749 is another that threatens pretty significant changes to our elections. It's named No Partisan Advantage in Elections, but we just call it the deadlock bill, because what it does is it creates an even partisan split on your county board of elections and on your state board of elections. And when was the last time? When was the last time that y'all saw the two major parties agree on anything? Maybe how much they hate casinos, but we can get into that later. And in that world, a lot of the major decisions about elections, including our early voting plans, are at risk when a board deadlocks on key elections policy. Taylor, I don't know if you can put it up on the screen for us, but under current law, if SB 749 were to go into effect, if a county board of elections that's evenly partisan split cannot agree on a plan for early voting sites and hours, and that goes to a state board of elections that is split and cannot agree. The default plan for a county is one early voting site, largely open during business hours, with one Saturday to vote. Now, how many of y'all, it'll be clear why in a moment, how many parking spots do you think you see right here? Not many at all. This is the Mecklenburg County Board of Elections office. I know not far from us here. In 2020, Mecklenburg County had about 20 plus early voting sites. If 749 goes into effect and we see deadlock, Mecklenburg would be reduced to one early voting site, and it would be this building right here, and I promise you, there are more than 20 or 30 or 40 parking spots or people in Mecklenburg County. And so what that looks like is not only a bottleneck process during early voting, but potentially long lines like we haven't seen them on election day in 24. That is part of why we are so concerned about Senate Bill 749. And to round out the election piece of this discussion, just today, as the gentleman here in the middle pointed out, the redistricting process has begun. Now, y'all live in North Carolina. About every time the wind blows and changes direction, we get new voting maps. Isn't that right? And so today, we just found out in the middle of a fight over the state budget and Medicaid expansion and casinos that they're going to hold 3 public hearings next week in Hickory, Elizabeth City, and in Raleigh. I mean, how close is Hickory? 2 hours. And I think it's going to be held at 4 o'clock. How many of you can go to that? That's exactly right. All of this when we don't have any maps to comment on or any rules for the process to debate. So we're going to hold public hearings about, I guess, just our thoughts when it comes to voting maps in general. But that is another process that's just about to begin that's really going to change the political dynamic in North Carolina in 2024. Now, that's not, the election bills, we could go on and on about election bills and Common Cause like to do so. But there are other major pieces. I mean, how many of y'all pay attention to the fight over the budget? For those who are not familiar, in North Carolina, we were supposed to have a budget. Mackenzie, what was it, 2 months ago? 3 months ago? 78 days ago, the state of North Carolina was supposed to have a budget that would provide important things like teacher pay raises, address the bus driver shortage, make sure that our public institutions aren't facing budget shortfalls with the rising cost of everything. And 78 days later, we still don't have a state budget that is tied to expanding health care to tens of thousands of North Carolinians, all because there is a proposal out of nowhere to try to put casinos and legalize casino gambling in North Carolina. If you're thinking about what you want the future of North Carolina to look like, I want you to consider whether a budget delay that doesn't give teacher pay raises in favor of casinos is the kind of North Carolina that you want. And that's not all. I won't keep you here all night, and I promise Mr. Oliver, who will open up the room for us, that I won't keep you here past 8. But we've talked about things such as a ban on abortion after 12 weeks, legislation known as the Slate of Hate that targets our queer and trans youth in North Carolina. Janet brought that up earlier, as well as bills like SB 41 that loosened access to pistols and guns here in every single county in North Carolina. So that's a lot of information. But I just want to kind of set the stage for some of the kind of major policies that are coming out of the General Assembly. I believe somebody up here mentioned the charter schools. That is another big piece of what is happening under legislation that's currently proposed. We would expect about $200 million to be siphoned each year from traditional public schools to charter schools. And that's in addition to a North Carolina Farm Act. Sorry, I'm kind of ping-ponging you here. But a North Carolina Farm Act that removes wetlands protections from 2.5 million acres of wetlands in a way that affects water quality all across the state. So y'all can see why they invite me to the parties, right? Because this is just all I talk about, this laundry list of legislation. Well, we're setting the stage for what we're going to ask y'all to do for the rest of this event, which is we want to hear what you think about these issues. This is a town hall. This is meant for every single person in here who wants to speak and comment, not only on the bills you've heard tonight, but the bills that you've been concerned about, so that we can share not only with elected officials who are in attendance, who we'll acknowledge here in a moment, but for on our recording, for those elected officials who either could not be here tonight or did not bother to be here tonight. It is our goal to not only hear what you have to say about the state legislative policies impacting your life, but to make sure that the legislators who represent this area hear about it all the time, every which way till Sunday, so that they never forget. Does that sound like a plan? All right. So we're going to get into it in a moment, but there's a couple of other organizations who are here tonight, nonpartisan organizations, who are fighting on some other key North Carolina issues. We want to give them a few moments each just to talk a little bit about what they are fighting on and the issues that are of import to them. So we're going to go to them first, and then we're going to turn it to y'all for the rest of tonight. So I want to invite first up our friend Isaiah Withers from Forward Justice to talk about some of the criminal justice policy here in the state. Come on.
How's everybody doing tonight? Awesome. My name is Isaiah Williams, Senior Organizer with Forward Justice, and we are an organization that is statewide, based in the RDU area. As Gina was saying, our sister organization, as the t-shirt that you see on me right now, is Second Chance Alliance. How many of you believe in the second chance by raising hands? Well, we do too. And we want to make sure that all of our brothers and sisters who are formerly incarcerated that are coming out, that we give them the access to be able to have their basic needs, which is to vote. With our campaign, Unlock the Vote. Also alongside with Unlock the Vote is Protect the Vote. Not protect your electoral rights, not to protect your vote, no, but to protect the vote. And what we mean by that is making sure that everybody that comes out, especially in our black, brown, and marginalized communities, are protected from the many tactics of voter suppression. We just mentioned gerrymandering, voter intimidation, several different things like that that happens at the polls every day that makes it an unpleasant and dangerous location for anybody in our communities. So we want to make sure we protect that. These are some of the main three factors that we have going on, and right now we're launching our voter intimidation hotline and building some rapid teams, and we'd love to work with anyone who may need those resources. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Kim Biondi, and I am an organizer with Red, Wine, and Blue, North Carolina, and I work right here in Bears County, support Bears County and the surrounding areas. Red, Wine, and Blue is a woman-led 501c3c4 organization. We have over 20,000 members in North Carolina alone, although we are a nationwide group as well. We have paid organizers in 5 states, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and North Carolina, all the important swing states. And we are here to make sure that we swing progressive. We are nonpartisan, but we are pro-women's health, pro-reproductive rights, we are pro-public education, pro-common sense gun safety, and we are here to help support any woman who wants to find her voice and a way to advocate. So if you are looking for an on-ramp to advocacy and you're not sure where to start, if you want to start making some trouble in your community, some good trouble, give us a call, look us up. I'm over at that table there. We've got some cool stickers and pins, and I will be glad to talk your ear off. We've got 2 initiatives coming up. One is called Rally. It's a tool to rally your friends to make sure they get out and vote, and that they know who they're voting for and where to vote and what they need to vote. And we also have something called Trouble Nation, which is a support network for anybody who wants to start any kind of grassroots organization in their local community, and they just need the support and structure to get started. So we would love to talk to you about that. I'm right back there, and I hope I'll see you guys later. Thanks.
Next up, we'll have Tim Alexander from Planned Parenthood South Atlanta.
Hi y'all, like Janelle said, my name is Kim. I'm the Western North Carolina Community Organizer for Planned Parenthood South Atlantic, where our mission is to provide comprehensive sexual and reproductive health care, no matter what. Unfortunately, we did see an abortion ban as well as some trans health care bans come up this legislative session and get passed. So if you are looking to get into the fight, we have a sign-up sheet back there on the back table, as well as some information about how to access abortion care in North Carolina, as well as some informational sheets on 3 of the bills from the slate of hate. So check those out, and yeah, glad to be here.
Thank you. Last but not least, I want to provide my friend Nia Vines from Black Voters Matter to close us out for this portion of the event before we transition to hearing what you all have to say about these issues. So come on up, Nia.
How y'all doing today? Good. Good. I really don't need this, but I'm so happy to be here. My name is Nia Vines. I'm the Piedmont Regional Organizer for Black Voters Matter. So I am also a frontliner. I've been organizing for about 8 years now, since 2016. After my cousin was murdered by an off-duty police officer, I really launched into this work. I've been working with BBM for about a year now, coming in January, so really happy to be here. BBM, even though we are, Black Voters Matter, really what we focus on is building Black power in Black communities. We're a non-partisan organization, but we want to make sure that Black people in particular are getting out the vote, getting the knowledge, having the information they need to cast the vote that is best for them. So we have information in the back as well about the October and November elections coming up. Want to make sure that the people are as informed as possible. But I just want to encourage you guys that tonight is really about the community. It's about everyone that's sitting in these seats. So just make sure that your voices are heard. The power is indeed in the people, and it's not in profit. It's not in the people that are, elected, because we control who is elected. We control what they do and how they do it, and we have to remind them that we have that control. So make sure that you make your voices heard tonight. If you want to holler at me, I'll be in the back with Jimmy Johns. But we are definitely taking volunteers. We need volunteers all across North Carolina and different states as well. So if you want to join me in any capacity in that way, I would love to chat with you. I don't bite at all. I will talk to you often. I also listen. But just like I said before, make sure your voices are heard. Make sure you use this space in the best of your ability, because there's not a lot of spaces like this. So the fact that, Common Cause and all the organizations that came together to create this is very special, and it's a safe place. So I want to make sure that you guys are able to utilize it to the best of your ability, all right? Thanks, y'all.
And of course, we just have one more time for this campaign. We will give a few more minutes to close this out before we transition to the next part.
Thanks, I appreciate y'all letting me go. I'm on the North Carolina Coordinating Committee for the National Poor People's Campaign. That's a national organization that is led by Dr. William Barber, who was also responsible for the Moral Monday campaign for over a decade. And we are working in North Carolina on many of the issues that were mentioned when we first started this session. And we welcome anyone to be involved in the local chapter of the North Carolina Poor People's Campaign, which is called the Southern Piedmont Circle. It's centered around Charlotte, so folks in Cabarrus County would be part of that if you want to join in. I live here in Kannapolis, Concord, Cabarrus County, and represent on the North Carolina Committee with about 25 or 30 other people from all across the state. One thing I wanted to make sure folks know about related to voting, better put these on, can't see without them. One of the things that we're doing coming up on October 15th, which is the Sunday, at 3 p.m. in Charlotte at Galilee Ministries, 3601 Central Avenue, is North Carolina GOTV Collaborative Strategic Planning. One of the things, just like Common Cause is doing what is being done early now, certainly it impacts the voting this year, but particularly the voting in 2024, to really get going early and make sure that we're doing GOTV work a year and further out from the 2024 elections. So we're thankful to be partnered from the Poor People's Campaign with Common Cause and many of the other organizations listed on the screen. And thank you all for giving me a chance to talk with you. Yes. I'm Reverend Laura Elliott. I'm a pastor in the community and am very involved with community organizing, have been for a long time. And that's my position as a pastor. I'm the pastor who loves the LGBTQ community. I'm the pastor who believes in, giving out condoms. I'm the pastor who does not want firearms in my church. So thank y'all very much.
All right. Now this is a group who I know wants to speak, so we are going to get and devote the rest of the time to hearing what y'all have to say. A couple of notes and a few ground rules before we get started. So we invited 4 of the representatives who represent Cabarrus County to be here with you tonight. We have one of those folks there, Representative Diamond Sapp Williams. We invited the other 3 lawmakers. I say this just for the purpose of being crystal clear. Invited them not only to the August.
Homie will be a yes or no tomorrow for the GOP, just in case people want to show up. That's an open meeting. Yes and no tomorrow. Homie will be there. It's the first time I've ever seen his face in this county. Just saying.
We will get you that information at the end of the event. But just to be clear, we did invite all of the representatives to be here tonight. We invited them to the first go-round of this on August 7th when that was canceled. We emailed them the same day about this new date. We did not receive a message from Senator Newton or Representative Crutchfield. Representative Baker declined due to being out of town on a vacation. So I wanted to make that clear, but we are recording and capturing what you have to say tonight because we believe it's important for them to hear regardless. And we're also going to be sharing with you ways, as I'm sure many of you know, that we want to continue to engage with them and continue to communicate your perspectives. So ground rules for how we'll conduct this portion. Each person will get about 2 minutes to speak. Retreating Campbell, wave back there in front of the retreating Campbell. She has got a sign for you. It says 1 minute left, and it says please finish. We love all of y'all, but like I said, Mr. Oliver will not let us stay here after 8. So please respect the time limits on the chance that you have to speak. Our only ground rule is that we ask you to remain nonpartisan, since this is a nonpartisan event. That does not mean that you can't share certain facts about what is taking place in Raleigh. That does not mean that you cannot be angry, but we just want to make sure that this is not a place to stuff for candidates or things like that. We also are asking folks to think about it. If you're not quite sure what you want to say, but you have something you think you want to say, there are 2 questions we ask folks at each of these events. We ask them first to consider, what do you want your state legislator to know about your experience, about your perspective on the issues, about issues that you care about that you don't think are getting the importance or the attention they deserve. That's question 1. And the second question that we're asking folks is also about, what do you want the future of North Carolina to look like? I imagine that none of us, regardless of how we feel, want processes without transparency, without a time to talk about things like casinos or Medicaid expansion or voting maps. So what is it that we want for the future of North Carolina? We have folks who signed up to speak as they came in. We will go to them first. When you come up, please introduce yourself and where you're coming from tonight, whether that's Harrisburg, Concord, Kannapolis, anywhere else. And then once those folks are done, we will open it up to anybody who wants to raise their hand and speak for 2 minutes. Sound good, everybody? All right. So the first person that I've got here is Greta Patrick. All right. Give a round of applause. Finally, the first person to speak. Thank you, Greta. And you've got 2 minutes. Oh yeah, you want to use this instead? Feel free. This microphone also.
Okay. and I am a lifelong resident of Cabarrus County. I am a board member of the P-Flag Concord Kannapolis and am speaking on behalf of our chapter. P-Flag is the first and largest organization dedicated to supporting, educating, and advocating for LGBT youth and their families. We are enraged at our state legislature passing a number of laws targeting our transgender youth. This is personal for me. I have a transgender daughter and know the personal struggles of parents and their transgender children. Every person, transgender or not, does better when they can get the health care they need when they need it. Best practices in medical care should be across the board. We want the same for our transgender children. The American Medical Association, the American Association of Pediatrics, the American Psychological Association, the American Psychiatric Association, all agree that transgender health care saves lives. We trust the medical professionals over our elected officials. Bills that limit trans health care are putting our children's lives at risk. LGBTQ youth are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their peers. With these new laws, these issues will only get worse. I trust my doctor to help me make my healthcare decisions. Why is our state government taking away this right of parents and their transgender children? These decisions on appropriate health care for a transgender child should be between the parents, the child, and their health care team. I have heard so much misinformation on this issue. Transgender children and their medical and psychological needs have been politicized, when government should not be in the business of telling its citizens they cannot access proven life-saving care. All children deserve to be happy, healthy, and included in the society they live in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And that means we'll lead right to the next person, which is Al Gateway. I think Al does not want to follow you, Greta. Oh, thanks. There you go. Oh, yeah, we come over here too.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. How are you doing today?
Good.
Pretty good. My name is Al Gavin. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a military veteran for the United States Army. And I believe U.S. immigration policies need to be reassessed. From 1960 to 2000, black high school dropouts saw their unemployment rates drop 33 percentage points from 88.6% to 55.7%. White high school dropouts decreased was roughly half that, from 94.1% to 76%. For white men, an immigration boost of 10% caused their rate to fall just 0.7%. For black men, employment fell 2.4 percentage points. Black Americans comprise 90% of the recent rise in unemployment, myself included. And in Charlotte, black Americans contribute 31% to the Mecklenburg County population, but comprise 79% of the homeless population. My call to action is support lineage-based reparations for American descendants of slavery, support lineage-based affirmative action, reassess immigration policies. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Al. Wendy Connell, you are next. And feel free to, however you.
Can I say before I get started, thank you to our organizers, thank you to Kannapolis, thank you to all of you, I love you so much. You're amazing. All right, so good evening. Thank you to our legislature and current policymakers, and also people that are hopeful policymakers. You all write, promote, and vote on policy that impact all of us. It is an enormous responsibility. I have questions. When you analyze the impact of any bill, do you research whether the policy divides us or unites us? Does it strengthen or degrade our public systems? For instance, voter gerrymandering. Does it favor prioritization or does it favor privatization, corporations, and profits over strong and effective public institutions? Like funding Leandro, maybe, you know? Do you analyze the impact of historical harms, the residual from that dreadful history that continues to harm people of color? And, by the way, white people too. So we're talking about new segregation tactics, time, geography, and poverty, and doing it racially. Do you make a priority to study that history and have a clear understanding of how policy decisions today can perpetuate disparate outcomes across every single public system we have? Are you analyzing whether the policy will get you more votes or whether it will benefit the people and reduce disparities? People of color and poor people all over this nation are hurting. I invite you to analyze your policies to contribute to systems that lock people into this poverty. We must stop blaming people for their poverty. Tired this story is, and nobody's buying it anymore. We don't get 140 million poor people and near poor people in our nation because they just made bad decisions. Fix, bolster, and fund our systems to empower people and stop blaming them. You have the power to decide, and we have the power to vote. Come with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that analysis of policy, and I'll just add one piece. In 2021, when they were about to redraw the maps, our one big ask for all the legislators, including Senator Newt, who chairs the redistricting committee, was just to assess the patterns, the racial voting patterns in the state withdrawing those districts. Sailor Jones, that never happened, did it?
It did not.
So I appreciate you raising that as an issue. Thank you, Wendy. Next I have Elin Craigville Middleton. With the Q's baby.
Hi, my name is Elam. I'm a native Concordian, although I live in Kannapolis now. I'm a father to that toddler, a husband to that wonderful partner, and now I'm a volunteer in my community. I've worked in corporate America from high to low, kind of been everywhere. I'm also transgender. I came out back in the early days of trans awareness, before most of you had even heard the term, before I had certainly. I was not influenced. I thought I was what many of our representatives today call us. Freak, devil, something that doesn't belong. As a kid, I thought that. I know better now, but I refuse to let my son grow up learning that senseless hate and prejudice is acceptable. I deserve better, he deserves better, and so does everyone here. Why then are we labeling our youth, our future, as less than? Restricting a child from sports and refusing vital, life-saving health care, which is usually made up of puberty blockers until 18, by the way, we already use it for cisgender children. It's simply singling them out and bullying bullying our most vulnerable children. Not just that, but the hilarious named Parents' Bill of Rights also restricts a child from even figuring out who they are in a safe environment by telling them they can't even use a name that brings them security and joy. Stop and consider. If a child comes out and their parents aren't aware, is there a reason? Laws like this lead, simply put, to dead kids. There's no compassion there, no kindness, and certainly no rationality. I grew up with friends in that situation, and there was no support. They're in dear memory today. This is irresponsible legislation by hands and hearts steeped in misunderstanding, so I urge you to stand up. We need to do better. Stop making our transgender youth, and by extension due to sudden prejudice, adults into second-class citizens. We live here. We belong here. We were raised here the same as you. Please, let us be part of the community that we're already in.
Nearly 1 million eligible North Carolinians of color did not vote in 2020. Black, Latinx, AAPI, and Indigenous North Carolinians who were eligible to vote did not cast a ballot in 2020, which totaled approximately 1 million potential voters statewide. So I stand before you today reaffirming New North Carolina Project's commitment to ensuring Black and brown voters have access to the ballot. Every week our organization goes out, we canvass, we phone bank, and we text bank, making sure we reach out to voters across North Carolina, specifically West Mecklenburg, which had, well, Charlotte, Mecklenburg in general, had one of the lower turnouts of Black and brown voters across the state of North Carolina. So we are working to target that area and completely ensure that all of our friends in those areas have access to the ballot by way of knowing about it and knowing when and how they can vote. So what I ask you today is, are you a part of an organization? It really doesn't matter which one. Join one or volunteer for one. So please raise your hand if you are affiliated with an organization that you volunteer with. Awesome. If you did not raise your hand, I encourage you to go to any one of the organizers from any of the other organizations, pick one, and volunteer. Thank you.
We are cooking with gas now, that's all I can say. Next person we've got signed up is Lloyd Craigville. Dynamic duo, I see.
Hey there, folks. My name is Lloyd Craigville Middleton. I am the father of the toddler that I'm sure has been disrupting your evening. I'm so sorry for that. And husband to my best friend in the whole big wide world. I have known him since I was 5 years old. And I just can't understand why people think that his life choices are somehow their problem. As everyone here knows, we live very deeply in the Bible Belt, and I can't understand why our legislators have forgotten that the key takeaway is be excellent to one another. If Bill and Ted can get it, so can we. It just does not make sense to me why people drive past our house at all hours of the night, shouting loud enough that they wake my son from his nap. People have kicked our signs in that said nothing more than everybody is welcome. I don't understand why there is so much hatred when so much is supposed to teach us to love instead. That's all I got.
I'm going to pass it to Elliot Isley next. That's the last person we have who signed up to speak beforehand, and then we'll open it up to the crowd.
My name is Elliot Isley. Yes. You know that. So, as a lot of you also know who know me, I don't do well with a script. So we're going to wing this. Currently in North Carolina and across this country, North Carolina is following suit with every other state. The states like Florida, where I and anyone else like me cannot go anymore because we will be arrested. If I walk into a bathroom in Florida, I am charged with a sex crime, put on a list, and I am now in jail. Because I need to pee. That is it. We, and I don't know another way to say this, and I have said this before in front of all of our legislators in Raleigh. We are, in this country, in the middle of a genocide of trans people. And I know, this year, they only went for the children. Next year, it'll be us. What are we going to do then? How many of you, outside of the people who have spoken here, know in your life a trans person?
Or loved one.
Yes. Yes. They will come for us next. They always do. And after they're done with us, look back at the Nazis. That is where we are headed. And unless we turn this ship around, I won't be here in a few years.
Thank you. The next person, we actually have one more person who signed up to speak beforehand, and that is Larry Gatewood. Y'all family members really do roll together.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Larry Gatewood, and I have a question for you. It's a question I'm going to go back to at the end of these 2 minutes. First question is 1 to 10. 1 to 10. What do you think about 1 to 10? Second question is the present age. The present age. And the third question, I'll get to that later, once I remember it. Anyone got a guess at 1 to 10? That's the wealth gap between. Anyone want to take a stab at the present age? Book written by Soren Kierkegaard about existentialism, it's an existential crisis as the baby boomer wealth gap, the pre-war, the post-antebellum wealth gap becomes greater and greater over years of investment. It becomes an existential crisis for the Black community. And I did find number 3, Briar Creek Church. Anyone want to take a stab at that? In 2015, a racially motivated fire in the Charlotte area affected Briar Creek. And when we talk about violence and we talk about racially motivated violence, this is, Justice Department, U.S. Justice Department. The numbers are staggering. 2022, when you compare gender identity, you have 3 in 2021. Gender, 2. Disability, 7. Sexual orientation, 36. Religion, 62. Race, ethnicity, and ancestry, 108. That's 2021. This is North Carolina Justice Department. I'm not making this up. So, now that we know 1 through 10 is?
Wealth gap.
Let's see, what was number 2? Present age, it's an existential crisis. And Briar Creek, racial violence far outweighs any violence to any protected community in the nation.
I think it's safe to say that on the agenda of our state lawmakers, the safety of our communities is not here to come. In fact, as Damon pointed out at the beginning, one of the first laws they passed this year, a bill known as HB 40, actually increases and potentially inflicts felony criminal penalties on those who are simply trying to protest about the very issues that you were talking about, that many of you were talking about. So I think it's safe to say the agenda of Raleigh is not safety-minded, and appreciate what you said. At this time, folks, that was everybody who signed to speak beforehand. If you would like this time to speak now, and you've got something to say, please raise your hand. Yes, come on up, Courtney. We've got time for a good number of speakers before we turn it over to Representative Staff Williams to respond to what she's heard tonight. We'll go to you next.
So I wanted to make sure everybody else got to speak because a lot of you know me and know what I'm about. And so I first want to say thank you so much to especially our trans friends and the people who love them, who have come and spoken up. You are loved and needed and wanted in our community. And I feel like you need to know that. I have a 7-year-old in school. I'm switching really quick, sorry. And I think it's really important that we need to point out we do not have a budget yet, which means our teachers have not gotten raises. So 10 years ago, we knew we were in a hiring problem. 5 years ago, it was a crisis. 2020, it was an emergency. And now my kid doesn't have a teacher in one of his classes. And that is the story for so many of ours. We had a chorus teacher who exited, I'm not sure how that happened, at J.M. Freeze Middle School 5 weeks into this school season,
full class load, and they just cut that program. What are those kids supposed to be doing? They don't care about our children. They don't care about our future. They don't care about us. You know, I'm from West Virginia. I just spent a weekend there with a family reunion. My mother had 6 brothers and sisters. 3 of them came here because it was a better opportunity for them to work. I don't think any of them would tell their friends and family to come here now. We have to change our future. That's what our legislatures need to heal here. They're killing our state. Maybe that's what they want.
Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa Jones, and this is Dr. Jarvis. We represent the NAACP, and Dr. Jarvis is president of the Cabarrus County NAACP.
Yeah, we play.
I'm here because the NAACP represents everybody's problems in here. Everything you said, we represented. When you give Dr. Jarvis a chance to say.
I was sitting there pondering what could I say because I wasn't on the agenda. But many things have been said this evening that we are supporting locally. And our existing unit, what we're doing is focusing on some local problems, like the monument that is downtown. That is something that has been bothering us for a number of years. But what you come to say tonight is what the NAACP has stood for years, that is freedom and rights for everyone. Whether we be transgender, whether we black, poor, or whatever, we're talking about the same space. So that's why we can support you tonight. And basically, I didn't get up because I amplify what you've already said. I'm not about a person who wastes time. When I have something to do, I go ahead and do it and get it done. So I want to say to each of you, if you need our support, please reach out to me. I'll give you my card. Jamin, I always get his name wrong. Jaman, the French version, knows how to get in contact with me, and he is our political chair. So we may not be as loud as others, but we are here to help in any way that we can. So please reach out to us, and if you're not a member of the NAACP, come on and get on board. Thank you so much for giving us this time.
Y'all go anywhere in North Carolina, the NAACP is there and has been for 100 years and more. So thank y'all very much. You next, and then we'll come to you right after. Welcome on.
Hold this book up so that you can see the title of this. I highly recommend it. It speaks about a problem that is probably not very well known and that we need to know about. But another way to unite North Carolina is to decrease the inequities and injustices in our state. While the top 1% of Americans continue to earn more, the lower income citizens are losing. And we, the people here, and our elected officials can take action. One little known plan to focus is on private equity firms. Many of these firms, many formerly solid businesses, such as Toys R Us, Hertz, J. Crew, Claire's, David Thrive, Gymboree, Linens and Things, Mattress Firm, Radio Shack, and Bell's department stores, and nursing homes, payday lenders, prison services, and medical practices have suffered bankruptcy and other things because of private equity, essentially looting or liquidating them for the benefit of the executives and attorneys, and while workers are losing jobs, severance, and pensions. Please, our representatives, show us that you are listening and you will do your job working for your constituents while the people in Washington are in dysfunction. And not work for us, not simply for your own power, but for all of us. And a better world is possible, and we employ you, our representatives, to help us create it.
We have more than 1,000 people attend across 15 town halls. You were the first person to mention private equity, and I appreciate that. Thank you for doing so. Somebody over here was saying, yes, come on up. Yeah. Oh, yeah, go.
All right, good afternoon, or is it evening? Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So my name is Gwendolyn Quadri. I am a CMS educator and also the co-chair of the Cabarrus County chapter of Defense of Democracy. And this is Cindy. Hi, Jenny Lindley. She's also my co-chair. So we are out here because I'm going to let y'all in on a little bit of what's going on in our schoolhouses, okay? So, Moms for Liberty, Charter School Omnibus, Parent Bill of Rights, and now another, let me say, another budget freeze, but this time over a casino. Y'all, teachers, administrators, staff are tired, okay? In our NC United Teacher Association groups, we are tired. We are full of stories of everyday challenges. And we are trying to stand united, but with these organizations, politicians, extremist groups, we're tired. And we just feel them coming at us at all different angles. And we feel like we are losing hope. And what happens when educators lose hope? How does it affect our students, which we care about the most? All right, so teachers are leaving the profession because they feel like no one is fighting for them. We are fighting amongst each other here because we got people on the inside group that ain't making sense some days. I mean, honestly. Sorry, I'm going to go to the pulpit. But I am here. We are here because we need your support, okay? We need advocates to support our teachers, to support our public school, charter school, even our private school staff and educators, okay? Defense of Democracy is relatively new, especially here in North Carolina. But we are looking for anyone that can provide us guidance and assistance, and we are looking to make connections with all of you so that way we can know how we can empower our organization, so that way we can support our teachers, and so we can show them that the outside cares. So if you have any time, please come and meet with Jenny and I, and we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And let me just say, just want to thank you for, feel free to be cut. Thank you for raising that because it's not a partisan issue either. I know that wasn't the thrust of what you were saying, but just to add, how many of y'all live in Moore County, North Carolina? There are, those of y'all know Moore County, know Moore County. We had, we were there, that was our second stop, July 24th, and we had 3 members of the school board there. The school board there is entirely Republican, and they had some folks who were kind of in line with them who were at the town hall. You know what they all agree on? Fund our public schools, don't fund our charter schools. There's a difference between those who have to experience the reality of our schools every day and want something different, and the torrent of money that has come in to try to influence a certain agenda in Congress. So thank you. Who would like to speak next? We got time for a couple more people, and then we'll turn it over to the representative.
Can you briefly elaborate on Moore County? So they all agreed that basically they needed to be together on public education.
That's right. So when they were asked, now there were differences on curriculum and what kind of books, and then talk about it a separate time. But when they were asked and they were talking about public schools, the board chair, 2 other board members were there, all agreed that preserving and continuing to fund traditional public schools, they just made basically a simple statement to the effect that they supported that and that they wanted to continue to see that in North Carolina, and that charter schools are not the answer. It may be the answer for some folks, but not at the expense of our traditional public schools. Anybody else who would like to speak tonight? As a spirit moves, now is your time. You're more than someone?
I'm not.
Oh. Okay. nobody else who would like to speak tonight, then we will turn it over to Representative Diamond Stack Williams to share a little bit about working tonight.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Representative Diamond Staten Williams.
I am so sorry.
You'll never forget it, right? So, thank you all for having me here this evening. I am someone who loves to be amongst people. That's what brings me joy. That's what fills my cup, because I'm able to really hear and understand where other people are coming from, because that's important to me. I think many of you know that I'm a nurse by training, so my ultimate objective in life is to make sure that I'm helping other people. And being a part of the state legislative body currently, I don't feel like I'm helping other people. All the things that I thought could help people, we're not doing. So when the question came up, what do I want the future of North Carolina to look like? I want the future of North Carolina to look like this room, where people are coming together to advocate for the things that we want, the things that we absolutely need, and the things that our children will need to see what the future is going to be. Biggest thing for me, especially when we talk about kids, and I know this, and there are a lot of educators in the room, if our kids are not educated well in our public school system, who's going to take care of us? Who's going to be in those careers that help us provide fresh air, clean water to the masses? Who's going to be in those careers to be a nurse, to help you in your time of need? We have to make sure that at the foundation, children's education is our #1 priority, because we're going to need them. And I don't think people really get that or understand that we need them. So we need to invest in them. A lot of what I've heard this evening as well is about our rights in general, whether it's trans rights, gay rights, basic human rights. It is the right to be who we are, no matter what. To be able to love the person that I want to be with, and love that person and have them love me without fear or repercussions from anyone. I am someone who was raised deeply in the church, especially the Black Baptist church. If you know Black Baptist, you know. We go to church for a long time. But one of the biggest things that my grandmother had always imparted upon me, she had 9 kids, and one of my aunts, it was a lesbian before she had her near-fatal car accident. We don't need to fight in this house. We have to make sure that she's taken care of, because the world is already fighting us. And there's so many reasons. So we have to make sure that she's taken care of, and that anyone else who needs support and help, we offer that. We're the support, especially in our community, because there's so many other things that we have to worry about, especially in the Black community. Whether it's gun violence, just being is the issue for us. And I'm glad to hear that my friend Amy is canvassing on the west side of Charlotte, where I grew up. And my grandmother is back there in Renaissance West, so if you ever need somebody to help you, she will. Type of old people. You know, when you get older, it is an area that is highly and woefully overlooked. And if you know me, you know anything about my story, you'll know that education was a cornerstone for me, the pivotal point for me. I did not read when I got into the 1st grade. And had it not been for my mom changing my school from my home school to another school to invest in me, and my 1st grade teacher who looked at me and said, now, this don't make no sense. Let's get this baby her education, make sure she knows how to read. By the end of 1st grade, I was on 2nd grade reading level with everybody else, because I had that investment. Someone was looking out for me.
and I had the backing of my community and the support of my mom, who has a severe mental health illness, my grandmother, who raised me primarily. I had other people there to help me. And that's what I see in this room. There are so many organizations represented here. We all can be a part of different ones. But we have to show up. We have to be invested, because there will be no future without us. There absolutely won't be. There won't be any states that we can go to and feel safe. I've already had a mother tell me that their child who came out to them as transgender doesn't even want to come back to this state. Doesn't even want to visit her because of all the legislation that's going on. And imagine that your child just doesn't want to be in their home state. And we need that talent and skill, right, as a state. Don't want them to come back. So I guess the biggest thing for me when I'm in this legislature is making sure that people hear me, while it may be soft whispers and fairy dust. I got 1 minute. that I do is necessary. While it's not bringing me a lot of joy, I'm still in the fight to do it, because I know it's the right thing to do. We always have to stand up for the right thing, not what's popular, not what's satisfying, not what's gratification for others or making myself look great. It's because it's the right thing. And people need to stand up more often for the right thing to do and show up for the right thing. That's all I
We have time for about 1 to 2 questions, so if anybody has any questions that you would like to ask the representative, happy to give a little bit of time for that as well. Not really like to.
How can we help support you?
Your efforts, to get things done. I think a lot of everything that I do, I try to post things on social media. While I know a lot of people are not on social media, come to my website, get information, but most importantly, let me know. Don't just send me an email. I'm always available. I'm always walking around like, hey, y'all. I'm small. People don't pay me. But call me. Let me know what's on your mind, because if I don't hear from you, I don't know. I can always come to these things and listen to the group, but sometimes the most impassioned speeches, impassioned efforts come from one-on-one conversations. So I would much rather for you to come and talk to me, let me know how you're feeling and how I can be of support to you. Because we're in this together. We're not alone. We are absolutely not alone.
That's right. Time for one more question.
Yes. What's the plan in order to address the racial wealth gap, and that also influences hate crimes, where Black people are the #1 victims of hate crimes anywhere you go across America, and a lot of that is attributed to a long-standing justice claim that hasn't been answered or addressed, and that's due. What's the plan for that?
So that's more of a federal level conversation. From a state perspective, there are no plans. They don't want to hear your plans. I mean, let's be clear. We have to be very clear about exactly where we are, who is absolutely in seats of power, and what the conversations are. They don't want to hear anything about racial equity. They don't want to be taught anything about racial equity, diversity, inclusion. So there's no plan. While we can advocate and do all the things that we do, the most important thing that we can absolutely do to be able to get things on the table to talk about is vote.
And encourage others.
And take people with you. You can't just show up to the voting booth by yourself. Make sure that you're taking people with you. And if they're not registered to vote, make sure that they're registered to vote at least a month before. it's time to go vote. And make sure their IDs are intact, right? Make sure that they have a good ID. And we need to start that right now. Like, there's no turning back from that. Make sure they have a great ID, and I think that's information in the chairs about voter ID, what that looks like. So read over that information. But update, I have to go update my own information. Hopefully they'll take my passport, but who knows? Things change on a daily basis. So we have to be prepared. But again, you gotta get the right people in the seats.
And we have one more quick question,
I actually don't have a question, I just have a comment. While the screen's up here, it's a good opportunity. I want you to know that I'm very disappointed that Paul Newton's not here, Kristen Baker's not here, and Kevin Crutchill's not here. And I want to know where they're at. I want to tell them that we would like to see them in Cabarrus County. Their emails are up here, their telephone numbers are up here. I challenge every one of you in this room, take a picture of that, call their offices tomorrow, and tell them that you're disappointed that they're not here today. And ask them when they are going to be available for the citizens of Cabarrus County to meet them in a town hall environment so that we can ask them questions.
That is exactly right. And thank you, Representative State Williams. Thank you so much. Mr. Anderson will give my job for me there. I just want to say we are now about to close out, friends. We got a few more things, and then we'll let you go. That is exactly right. Regardless of how we think, how we believe, what we feel, the basic thing we should be able to demand and expect is that folks show up when invited. We invited these folks about 2 months ago to come, and from some we didn't even get a response. When we were in Nash County, the Republican chair of the Board of Commissioners there came and said, why are you putting a casino in my county when there's been no vote, no hearings, when there's been no engagement with the public?
That's right.
About his same lawmakers of the same party as him. So no matter what, the basic thing we should be able to demand and agree on. Oh, yes, sir, Jude.
Give us some information. Why are they pushing casinos?
That's a big question. It's a good question.
Because I thought that there's the party of religion, so they don't believe in gambling.
I think that is exactly right, and I cannot speak to their motive. All I know is what we've learned in the public, which is that as early as this spring, before it was made public, a Maryland-based casino development company was inviting local and state lawmakers to come visit them. Soon after, as public reporting has made known, Rockingham County changed the zoning of a big parcel of land that nobody knew about until about a week ago. And then just in this summer, this provision about basically enticing casinos to come develop here was put into the budget without any public hearings, without any information, without any engagement. And so what I imagine, based off what public supporters have said, is they believe it'll be economic development for their counties, and especially in rural areas. I don't think everybody believes that that is the case. And so now, of course, as of today, they're trying to tie Medicaid expansion and a separate standalone bill to the approval of casinos. That is the latest news. And happy to talk to you more about it, sir, because I gotta get us out of here in a minute. But happy to talk to you more about it. So all that to say, the basic thing we should be able to demand is that folks come here to listen. And so many of you shared powerful and vulnerable, important things. And the thing is, the things we're talking about, when you poll North Carolinians, when you come to town halls like this, when you do them all across the state, we all broadly want the same things. They are not on the agenda because of gerrymandered districts and because of the fact that these lawmakers really believe that they should have to answer to nobody. But, as the representative said, we're not going to let that happen, are we?
No.
How many of you, raise your hand, you know 5 to 10 people you're going to jerk to the polls in 2024? That's right. How many of you know 5 to 10 people who should have been here to hear this today? In 2023 and in 2024. Thank you for that representative.
That's right.
And how many of you are going to be with us when the redistricting process starts here next week when we break that gerrymander in 2024? That's right. Y'all. All right. Come on. That's right. We're We're here to what?
Unite NC.
We're here to what?
Unite NC.
We are here to what?
Unite NC.
Exactly right. Last thing, I want to thank y'all for being here. You have a couple of cards on your chair. They have a couple of different pieces of information we ask folks to fill out. If you are so kind as to do so, we're trying to assemble the perspectives of North Carolinians from all across the state, especially when it comes to this card that asks you what you want for the future of the state. So if you are willing to fill that out, that white magical box of mystery there on the sign-in table is where you'll drop them before you head out. So thank you for being here. Get home safe, but please take some food before you go. And get some educational resources on the tables too. Have a good night, y'all.